The Lions were favored last week. They came through. They won. Didn't cover, but they came through and won. That's all that really matters.
Yep.
And now they are favored by even more in the divisional round. And we've talked about this all offseason, the preseason, regular season, the potential for this team. And we're very cautious. All in every one of those phases. Very cautious about where the Lions could be. And there's been a few things that have happened in their favor. All right? They don't have to go on the road, even though we would have relished the opportunity.
To pay back those Dallas Cowboys.
Yes. And you and I would greatly appreciate on another level the fact of beating the Cowboys in Dallas. Oh. But they lost. They got destroyed by the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions. Karma, it finally paid off for them. They're going to host another game, and they are favored against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I could not be more confident going into this game with the way the Lions have played, the way that they've handled themselves. I can't wait. I'm beside myself with excitement.
Because you don't hear anything. Not that it makes a difference, because you've told me 8,000 times over the last 3 years what they say in the locker room, bulletin board material, it's all BS. Okay? Yes. But taking that aside, you don't hear much boasting at all from this group. And I think, in a weird way, that's good.
Well, it goes to the culture that Dan Campbell has set. And he set that tone in the very first press conference, took a lot of crap for it, has continued and been very consistent. And one of the things that he has talked about, and when you're talking about culture and developed, is grit.
Yes.
Grit. We see it all over the place at Ford Field. You see Dan when he's, in his press conference, he's got the grit hat on. And he's talked about what grit means to him. And the guys that are here, they're here for a reason. They've stayed for a reason. And he used these terms the other day, was intestinal fortitude. Mm-hmm. It was mental toughness. I'll ask you this. When you see this team play, you see them take the field, and now that we've had a complete regular season, one playoff game, when you look at this team and you hear the word grit, what does it mean to you?
Well, it's interesting because we've had this debate more about Michigan than the Lions over the years. But to me, when I hear the term grit and I watch that team play, you know what I see? Steak.
Oh, steak, no sizzle.
But the sizzle that they do have, like St. Brown, but it's gritty.
Yeah.
It's not just,
Not sure I want a gritty steak.
But you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yes, but you want it to be tough and grizzled if you're going to serve it to someone else and you're going to serve it to the Buccaneers.
Damn right. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's not like this, greatest show on turf.
Right.
They get a lot of yards, but a lot of times they're tough yards. They're breaking tackles. It's
the basics of football.
Right.
It's running the football. It's play action pass. Take your shots when available. Don't turn the ball over, and if you do, that's what's going to cost you games. They've learned that tough lesson. I would agree with that. You see steak.
Yeah.
For me, when I hear about this team and I look at this team and I talk about grit, it all starts with the quarterback, and that's Jared Goff. And he is. You look at him, and he's not
right. He doesn't look like gritty.
He's not the toughest looking guy.
No.
Not the grittiest looking guy. Not the grittiest sounding guy. But early on in the season, we talked about it. It was an interception. He hadn't thrown one in 380 pass attempts, whatever it was, close to setting a record. But when he threw an interception, the next possession was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Did it again at Green Bay, and the next possession was a touchdown. Always found a way to bounce back. It's that short-term memory. You can't let one mistake pour over into the next possession, to the next quarter, or even the next game. And there was a moment in this season where we started to question, could they actually be a really good team? And it started at Thanksgiving. What actually started the week before,
right.
The win against Chicago. And even in that one, it was a gritty performance. Things didn't go well for 58 minutes.
He had, 3 interceptions in that game?
And then 57 minutes. And then with 3 minutes left, took them on 2 scoring drives to win that game. Helped out a little bit by the Chicago Bears and
no doubt.
Clock management, but they took advantage of it. And that's what gritty teams do. They take advantage of your mistakes, and they turn it to their positive, and it's poured over to the rest of the offense. Mm-hmm. and it's poured over to the rest of this team.
Yeah.
It's a very gritty team because they don't let one mistake bother them. And you could say it's mental toughness, intestinal fortitude, all of those different things kind of mean the same thing, but it pours itself out, and you could see it when you talk about having that short-term memory and being able to overcome some of those mistakes.
248-539-9797. When you hear the term grit associated with the Detroit Lions, what do you think of? Why are they the gritty, grimy team that they try to be?
Yeah, in your estimation, how has it manifested itself in this version of the Detroit Lions? And it kind of goes to why this version of the Detroit Lions is different than in large part for the last 60 years, the last 6 decades.
Yeah, 248-539-9797. The other thing is, now there are exceptions to the rule. Recently, more the Kansas City Chiefs than anyone else, and the Rams to a certain extent. But look at all the Super Bowl champions over the last, 15, 20 years. Most of them, not all of them, obviously. That's what they do. Run the football, good defense. Mm-hmm. Look, you had the greatest show on turf, the early part of this century. Obviously, but even New England's teams, and the Randy Moss team didn't win the Super Bowl, but
right.
the Patriots teams were basically, they ran the football, they played really good defense, tight ends. That's what the Lions are doing, right?
Yeah, they were good at the basics.
Yes.
And for the Lions, in terms of good defense, it's a really good run-stopping defense.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a good team that goes a long ways in the playoffs, if you can stop the run, you give yourself a huge advantage.
248-539-9797. Grit, to me, means hard work when times are tough, like the middle class working through the Great Depression in Detroit. Never down and out. I get that. Tom from Oxford. When I think of the word grit, I think never give up. Mm-hmm. And they don't. Grit to me is Frank Ragnow. Full stop.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has an injury that can't be surgically repaired, is playing with it, and is playing at a high level with it.
Yeah. I mean, he probably have to go through surgery again in the offseason, but whatever.
But again, I don't know if he does or not because they've said it can't be helped by surgery.
Yeah. Let's go to Greg in Shelby Township. What's up, Greg?
Good morning, you guys. Thanks for taking my call. I believe the personification of grit right now, and you did a great one with Ragnow, but it's got to be Aiden Hutchinson. His exuberance, the pain on his face, the way he looks intense. He's just, whoa. We're looking at Jack Lambert. We're looking at, it's impressive, and how we're playing both sides of the ball right now. I just, like you guys, like John said, I just cannot wait. This is just, we should have no problem beating Tampa Bay. Hopefully they're listening. Hey, Tampa Bay, you're going to lose. I got to think positive. You know how that.
Yeah, I know you are, Greg. You always are. And we appreciate that you do have a positive attitude.
Yes. And I think Aiden Hutchinson is one of those guys that you could point to that he goes out there and he lays it all on the field.
Yes.
You could want more. Maybe you want him to play a little better. There's a lot of people that land differently on Aiden Hutchinson, but you can never question, ever, anytime he's taken the field, whether it's been in Ann Arbor or at Ford Field or anywhere that the Detroit Lions play, you can never question his effort.
248-539-9797. What does grit mean to you? And have you changed your expectations for this football team heading into Sunday? 97-1, the ticket.